Hello, friends. It is February 1st. Finally, February. Finally, a new moon. The year of our Lord 2022. I'm reviewing Phish. Phish is the greatest live band ever. They're one of my favorite groups, period. Possibly my favorite. I think Ween and Phish are my two favorite groups. Ween is my favorite in terms of the songs they wrote, the albums they put out. Phish is the greatest live act I've ever seen. There might have been better live acts before. We could argue Grateful Dead. I love the Grateful Dead. I've probably seen Phish about 60 something times. I've seen people try to be the Grateful Dead more than that. So my most seen thing is fake Grateful Dead. But Phish is my favorite thing. Phish is religion to me. Phish is like how I experience communal bliss and connect and feel like I belong in the world. The nerdiness of it, the sort of absurdity of it, mixed with the technical precision, mixed with the funk jams. It's just everything I love about music. And you can buy a ticket and you can go do your nerdy dance among your friends that you don't know yet. And you can meet them there. Phish, the greatest thing going. Still, the Island Tour are four of the best shows Phish ever played. This is a very fertile period for them. This is when they're writing the Story of the Ghosts material, so it contains debuts of some of the songs. It's after the what people call the cow funk fall 97 or the Phish Destroys America. It's while they're still in that. It's a few months away from that, but they're still at that level of funkiness, technical precision, just crazy turn on a dime improv. These shows, start to finish, are stellar and a great representation of everything I love about Phish. And so, I've linked down there full show video of every single show of the Island Tour. I have the official release live Phish. I can't post that. I will get copyright strikes. These are audience recorded. If you're really an audiophile snob, download the Live Phish app and stream the soundboard over it. You can figure it out. It's not hard. The sound quality is good. It's anyway. Just watch the shows. Watch the shows. You don't have to listen to the reviews. Here's the review. The review is, I think the best show of the Island Tour is the first show. I think the second best show of the Island Tour is the second show. And I think the third best show of the Island Tour is 4-4, and I rank them in chronological order in terms of quality. I think 4-2 is the best. They're just bursting at the seams in this show, to my ears. And right away, they get into it and don't let up. And take you into outer space funk lands that you didn't know existed. Anyway, 4-2-98. This show opens with Tube. Trey uses a lot in this. This is some of his early use. This is Fall 97 and the early 98 is the early use of what I don't know enough about guitar pedals to know what this effect is. It's that I believe it's like part bird chirp, part like whale moan, part robot blip, part metronome. I think I'm going to refer to this as the alien metronome chirp. Are we fine with that? Do we know what an alien metronome chirp is? Is when Trey goes meow meow. Anyway, he uses that a lot in this. So that for shorthand, alien metronome chirp. Tube starts right away with the alien metronome chirp. The set lists of all of these shows are awesome, start to finish. The first show opens with Tube, which gets into a decent funk jam. Doesn't get crazy far out there. There's versions I prefer from Fall 97 and from later, but it's a solid Tube. And Trey goes right away with the crazy effects and you just get the sense of foreboding that you're in for an adventure. This doesn't sound like ordinary Phish to me. It sounds like it's Special Phish, and they know it's Special Phish. In fact, Trey says at the end of the run, the theme of the run is funk. So, of course, these are the best Phish shows. They're trying to do funk, which is all I want anybody to do, is play funk. And they do it so much in these shows. They open with Tube. Doesn't get much funkier than a Tube jam. Tube jam's good. Alien metronome chirp. Into My Mind's Got a Mind of Its Own. Great Mike bluegrass song. Love this song. Sloth. Classic Gamehenge rocker. NICU. Phish's ska song. I'm not ashamed of ska. I'm not ashamed of my checkered Vans. I'll give fucking Op Ivy a 10 next review. Do not question my ska credentials, motherfucker. I love NICU, and it is a ska song. Stash. Okay, Stash is where I need to go to notes. Tube right away. These are my notes. I took notes on all these shows. I've listened to them a bunch of times. I re-listened to them and I took notes. Tube right away. It's the alien chirp metronome. It's like a marker in the sound. I like it because it gives you like a point to focus on in the jam. So I actually don't mind, even when he overuses this effect. I find it amazing. I find it centers my listening experience of the improv. Because it's like, anyway, I like that effect. Maybe, through 99, through the 00s, he starts to abuse it, maybe. And it's not so special. But at this point, it still sounds very fresh and special. They sound so excited to play in these shows. They sound just like they have so many ideas and are going in so many different directions. It's really a remarkable run of shows. The Stash Jam, Trey repeats the Stash lick over, he does the classic shreddy Stash soloing stuff. And then he does this thing that, again, I think is related to the funk theme. He's repeatedly in these jams doing stuff that he rarely does, which is playing a simple lick and just repeating it over and over again and letting the band comp and develop underneath and around him. And also playing funk guitar, rhythm guitar stuff. Trey often is quick to go to a bliss jam or a shreddy thing. In these shows, he's very patient. And the results are miraculous. The Stash lick, he repeats a bunch, and he repeats an atonal Stash jam lick, and then it gets dark, and Page goes along with it, and then it gets really dark and weird and kind of disorienting, and then it gets back into the Stash. You're back in Stash. Maybe so, maybe not, of course. Seamless dark jam going back into the Stash. Then after the Stash peaking, they go back into jamming. And it gets into this kind of slow, blissful jamming. And it sounds like a simple jam. It's a very pretty jam. And then it segues seamlessly into horn. The segues on these shows, most of them are actual segues. Which means they're playing a song that is in between the first song and the second song. They're actually making it one piece of music. I love when they do this. They do it a ton in this run of shows. And this is one of the first examples. Stash is the first example of them getting really far out and showing you this is going to be an incredible ride of show. Anyway, Trey hits horn, which is a good rock, and it starts out sounding like it's going to be rockin', and then it's kind of ballady. But yeah, he teases Frankie Says in this Stash, but Frankie Says doesn't exist yet. They haven't played it yet. The first Frankie Says and the first Birds are later in this show. But there's Shafty teases, Can't Turn Me Loose teases, Charge teases, lots of teases in these. The show goes, okay, Tube, My Mind's Got a Mind of Its Own, NICU, Stash, horn. Horn goes into Waste, which I love Waste. I have to link. I'll link the guy doing the marriage proposal Waste, the cringiest video I've ever seen in my life. God bless that guy. And then Waste goes into Chalk Dust Torture. Chalk Dust Torture is ripping, and uh, yeah, it's a solid Chalk Dust. Then after Chalk Dust, see, I have to go back and forth between Phish.net and my notes. The second set is Punch You in the Eye into Simple. Simple is great, has a nice little blissy jam, doesn't get too far out. Birds of a Feather, the first version ever, they're playing it with this incredible energy that I love. It's, I think, one of the better versions of the song. And then there's Wolfman's Brother, which gets into deep, dirty cow funk, and then legitimately segues into Sneak and Sally. Like the funk jam slowly turns into Sneak and Sally. It's not just they stop playing Wolfman's, they start playing Sneak and Sally. The Sneak and Sally is one of the funkiest, longest, craziest, one of the few kind of type 2 Sneak and Sally. Although they don't really leave the progression, so I wouldn't say it's necessarily type 2. But it is a masterful Sneak and Sally. It's just tasteful funk jamming, Trey doing some cool leads, and then Paige behind him, just patient, slowly building this funky groove. It stays funky and cool the whole time, and then again starts to turn into a Frankie Says E type jam, and then it seamlessly becomes Frankie Says, the first version. And then after that is Twist, which this twist is maybe the best twist. Maybe that one from 04 SPAC is better. Maybe that dirty one from Vegas 04 is better. This might be the best twist. I think this is the best twist. Because this is all the things I like about Twist. It has the slow building. With both Twist and Piper, it drives me crazy. The thing that's cool about these songs is they slowly build, so the first verse does not contain the whole riff and all the parts. It's the first verse is very sparse, and then they introduce the other parts, and then it builds methodically. And this Twist jam, it's a great performance of Twist, just great peaking on the Twist progression, and then it starts rocking out with crazy blues soloing. Trey's just tearing apart the Twist progression with an urgency. It drips into this trippy, blissed out thing where Trey's just sustaining notes while the rest of the band is just kind of doing this weird alien jamming around him. And then there's this cool funk jam that develops out of this blissful jam. And then at 12 minutes, if you want to go into 12 minutes into Twist, he hooks into this riff. This is the exact type of playing he does all throughout this run. This is a very good example to tell you what I'm talking about when I'm saying that. In this run specifically, he uses this technique of repeating one simple guitar lick over and over again, not changing it, not making it more complicated, and it just develops into this full band crazy layering, and Paige starts playing some weird synths. It sounds legitimately evil at this point, and psychedelic, old, dark, crazy Phish. There's weird synth noises. Paige starts to play stuff that sounds like whispers or crickets or blowing, chirping, blowing noises. They tease the Star Trek theme. This reminds me of that St. Stephen from 78, I think, where Jerry teases Close Encounters in, I think it's St. Stephen. I don't know, check me. My memory's not so great these days. Lots of recreational chemistry. Anyway, so you go through a trippy alien abduction. And then, after Twist, what comes after Twist? Come on, Phish fans. We know what comes after Twist. Sleeping Monkey. Home on the range, why'd you send my monkey on the train? The day that you arrived, my sleeping monkey is revived, but you sent him home on the train. And the Let It Be part, rocking out, Rocky Top. They give you 2 encores to close the second set after the twist. And this Birds, Wolfman, Sneakin' Sally, this is what I wanted every Phish show, is funk. And they're just giving you all the funk. Punch You in the Eye is kind of funky. Simple's like great, blissful. And then Birds, Wolfman, Sneakin' Sally, Frankie Says is a little breather. Then you get Twist, which is just back into the crazy funk. And then like the double encore set closer. And then the Gayuti actual encore. This is one of my favorite Phish shows. It is amazing. The Island Tour, one of the best runs Phish ever performed. Most people's favorite show is The Following Night, which is an equally great show, honestly. It's a fantastic Mike song. Okay, the set list for 4/3/98. Again, go down there, watch all these shows. Who gives a shit what I think? Mike's song, Old Home Place. Mike's gets into legitimately dirty funk jam before you get like the Mike's peak. And you get the beep, boomerang, pedal, metronome, alien chirp, ambient thing that Trey relies on a lot. And they go into a few cool minutes of like really hooked up, blissful like improv. And then segue seamlessly into Old Home Place, which is one of my favorite old bluegrass songs that Phish covers. And it's a good version of it. And then it's into Weekapaw. It's not a real segue, because the Weekapaw segue is Fishman starts playing the beat, and then that's it. That's Anyway, I love Hydrogen. If you're going to stuff something other than Hydrogen in between Mike's and Weekapaw, I want it to be something like Old Home Place. And I think this is a fantastic Mike's groove. Up there with the classics. After that, let's see. Mike's groove, you get Train Song. I like Train Song a lot. It's really pretty Mike bluegrass song again. And Billy Breathes, another very pretty, kind of rarely played gem. Beauty of My Dreams, back into rocking bluegrass. Dogs Stole Things, I've never loved. I don't get this song. This song is not good. But, whatever. It's about to be Reba, which is the greatest song ever written. This Reba is good. It is very good. It's long and it's very patient. And he very slowly builds the Reba peak. He doesn't really leave the Reba structure in the way of, say, an October 18th, 94 Reba. But it's a long Reba. It's like almost a 20-minute Reba. It's just like he's so slowly going from the groovy Inca Roads and then just methodically building it up. Honestly, his playing, the way he's repeating one guitar phrase, the way he's doing the wah rhythm guitar, his playing reminds me almost of like the Disco Biscuits. Like, the Disco Biscuits are a great band, by the way. I like the Disco Biscuits. They're not as good as Phish, but they're very good. Anyway, Trey's playing and this is biscuity. This run. If you like this run, you might actually love the Disco Biscuits and not know it, because you're afraid to admit to yourself that you love the Disco Biscuits. I understand. I deal with my own self-consciousness about my favorite bands being kind of considered novelty acts. Anyway, beautiful Reba. I love Reba. My Soul Closer, whatever. You get some good shreddy blues licks from Trey. End of the first set. Second set, one of the best sets Phish ever played. I like the second set from the show before a little bit better. This is equally good. Roses Are Free opener. Roses Are Free, again, one of my favorite songs. I love Ween. And then the jam is one of the craziest jams they've ever done. Gets into like deep, dark funk. Gets into, oh my god, I don't know how to describe this Roses jam. Um, Although I did neglect to mention that in the Weekapaw jam, it slows down and then the alien chirp comes in and builds to a. But anyway, the alien chirp. If it's a long jam, you're getting an alien chirp. You're getting a metronome of a robot. Anyway, this Roses. How do I describe this Roses? I didn't even take notes on this Roses because it just accomplishes everything that a Phish jam can do. It just slowly moves through all of these different improvised sections that go into darkness, atonality, funk, kind of composed sounding, blissful stuff, and then back into more atonal, rhythmically disjointed stuff, and just kind of explores the full panorama of Phish improv territory in a neat 35-40 minutes or so. And then it kind of gets slower and slower. Trey does that thing where he repeats a riff and it falls apart, and it gets slower and slower until it's barely holding together and there's nothing. And when there's nothing, there's something that I want to hear when there's nothing. When it's very quiet, when you can hear a pin drop at the end of this jam, what I want is a slow build piper. Like I said with Twist, I don't want my piper all at once. You used to play piper differently. The way piper's supposed to be played is it's very slow at first, and then it just picks up and 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 explodes and turns into this blissful jam, which this does beautifully. Segue out of Piper into Loving Cup, which after the alien adventure you just went on with the Roses Piper, you need a little just classic rock and roll. Loving Cup, great. Just great. One of the best Rolling Stones songs. Into Antelope, which is a crazy Antelope. This Antelope is, yeah, again, it's using this like slow, crazy alien funk and the rock and Antelope peak that you expect. In the Rai Rai Rocco section, they actually play Harry Hood and sing Rai Rai Rocco over it. And then there's a start funk jam before the run. There's just, anyway, they funkify Antelope, which I need. I didn't know I needed a funkified Antelope. I didn't know I needed a 10-minute funk Cavern. I so needed these things to be played. They're so good. I love this Antelope. I love this set. I love this show. And you might think, well, that was already one of the best shows ever. The Encore is probably going to be sample in a jar. No. The Encore is going to be Carini into Halley's Comet into Tweezer Reprise. With Carini's going to get you antics. They're yelling that throughout the second set and throughout the Encore. Carini's a new song at this point. Doesn't have a jam yet. I think they debuted it in Europe. And these are like maybe some of the first American performances of Carini. Haley's is solid. Has a nice little jam, but doesn't take off. And then goes into Twee Prees. Which, you know, they haven't played Tweezer yet, have they? No, they're just doing Tweezer Reprise. Then they're going to open the next show with Tweezer. So that's 4-3-98. One of the greatest Phish shows ever. Perfect 10. 4-4-98. Opens with Tweezer. Tweezer gets into the funk. Tweezer's always the exploratory thing. So these themes that I'm talking about, the stop-start jamming, the bird chirp, boomerang, alien metronome, These elements are all in the tweeds. Step into the freezer. It's fantastic. Segues into taste. Great version of taste. I love taste. It's one of my favorite progressions. I love the Page solo. I love the Trey solo. It's amazing. And then bounce around the room. One of my favorite, just like straight up poppy, short Phish songs. Love the vocal melodies, the kind of Afrobeat rhythms to it. It's a great song. So is Funky Bitch, Sun Seals cover. And they play just a rockin' version of it. It doesn't get crazy far out. If you want the best Funky Bitch ever, listen to November 22nd, 94. It's filler on one of the live Fishes that they released, so you can get the soundboard of it. Which I might be able to link. I don't know. I'll probably just link audience stuff so I don't get stricken. Yeah. So after Funky Bitch is Ginseng Sullivan. I love this song. This song is just great. Puts me in a good mood. Just great bluegrass. Limb by Limb. I love this song. This is a great song. Never Wanna Hack and Cough. Appropriate in these times. Never Turn My Brain to Mush. Always give the best parts back. Then Lawn Boy. Lawn Boy is just a showcase for Page to just fucking Frank Sinatra sing you home. Just beautiful Page. Being Page. I love Page. Oh, Lawn Boy. Moist Green Organic that my feet tread upon. And then a rockin' Character Zero closes out the first set. Character Zero should close out first sets. It's a really rockin' song. I like it. It gets hated on because it closes a lot of second sets and doesn't have much of a jam. But this is a shreddy good Character Zero. And I think it's a great song. Anyway, the second set, like every second set in this run, takes off and goes into crazy outer space. They open with Birds of a Feather, which they seem really eager. There's like an urgency to the playing of this. This is still new. This is still exciting material. It goes into 2001. 2001, is just going to be 15 minutes of stop-start, wah-funk craziness, if you know Phish of this period. And it fulfills that to the level of whatever your expectations are. It's a very good version of 2001. It goes into Brother, a Type 2 brother. A brother that gets out there and goes into this crazy jam. The Ghost gets so weird and dark and funky, and then they just start doing Can't Turn You Loose, which they also do in the Fall 97, the MSG, I think the Possum. Check me on that. And then Gin. Gin has a short Bliss jam and a sick funk jam, and the segue into Cities is fantastic. The set list of this show is... I'm reading my notes for the next show. Oh well. Ghost goes into Lizards. That's even better. Lizards is amazing. Lizards is like the point of Gamehenge. The helping friendly book, it seems, possessed the ancient secret of eternal joy and never-ending splendor. The trick was to surrender to the flow. Got my amethysts. Because it's February. It's my birth month. I have this. I'm born February 19th. Same as John Fishman. Same as Yoko Ono. That Aquarius Pisces cusp, that's a weird one. Gemini rising. You got a lot of stuff coming at you if you're born February 19th. But yeah, Lizards. I love Lizards. The solo at the end of Lizards. I'm not gonna sing the solo. It's so good. I love that. Oh, this is just... all of my nerd fantasies are fulfilled when I listen to the Lizards. And then Bowie Closer, and it's legitimately dark, out there, crazy Bowie. And, anyway, the, the, see, I have to keep switching between the stupid set list and my note, so I keep losing the set list. Anyway, after David Bowie, you've gotten the best encore ever last night. You've gotten a nice Guyuti encore the first night. You'd expect after a monster show like 4-4, maybe they're just gonna play, some kind of horse silent, something like that. No, they're giving you Harry Hood, the greatest fucking song ever. I know Reba's the greatest song ever. Harry Hood is also the greatest song ever. I actually want to do Harry Hood classics, like Certified Hood Classic, Certified Harry Hood Classic, where I just review all the Harry Hoods and tell you which ones are Certified Harry Hood Classic. I'll probably do that. People seem to care more about, like Phish and the Grateful Dead than if I try to review like a punk record that nobody watches. So probably do more of that, especially if you do things like and subscribe. If you like videos, I know which ones people like, and then I can make more of those. Anyway, it's an idea. Harry Hood Classic. I thought it was cute. I was probably stoned. 2001 had a bunch of teases in it. Long Train Running. After the 2001, they play Brother. They kind of play it twice. And Brother, I think I've already talked about the Brother, but I didn't talk about how they played it twice. I talked about how they did a crazy Type 2 Brother that gets into this weird alien funk jam. That's the kind of modus operandi of this run. But I didn't talk about how they did a false start and then tried to play Brother again, but didn't really, just kind of play this joke version of let's play it again, and then they just kind of give up on it right away and go into Ghost. The funk that you need, the funk that you want. And this show's a perfect 10. It's great. Start to finish. One of the best Phish shows. Another one of the best Phish shows, perfect 10, is The Closer, which is 4-5. 1998. It opens with Okipa Ceremony. So you're getting Susie, right? No, you're not getting Susie. This is the Island Tour, baby. You're not getting Susie. You're getting You Enjoy Myself. Okipa, one of the greatest Phish instrumentals into maybe the greatest Phish instrumental. Even though Boy Man God Shit Vocal Jam, there's technically lyrics, but it's basically an instrumental. Anyway, You Enjoy Myself. One of the greatest songs ever written. If you don't like You Enjoy Myself, you do not like this band that I'm talking about. After You Enjoy Myself, Theme from the Bottom. Lovely version. Segues into Mcgrupp. I love Mcgrupp. I adore Mcgrupp. I wish they played it more, although I don't. I like it as a rarity. I like the fact that I've only heard 2 Mcgrupps. It would lose its specialness, I think, if they played it all the time, but it's an amazing song. I love the guitar melody. I love the stupid lyrics. It's I can't explain Mcgrupp to the uninitiated, but those in the know, they will get my adoration for Mcgrupp. Every Phish show I go to, I kind of want them to just play Mcgrupp, and then I'll be happy. Or Manga song, or 10 other songs. Anyway, after the Mcgrupp is a good gin that gets into, as I said, a kind of concise but blissful jam, right away. Not went gin territory bliss, but a nice blissful jam, and then it goes into the sick, dirty funk. That's kind of the the point of this run is the sick, dirty robot funk. And then the segue into cities it's fucking butter, dude. It's I can't believe it's not butter. It's so silky smooth. This is like vegetable oil with Fabio. This is what a segue is. And then after that is Sparkle, which is just fun. If you don't like Sparkle, I'm sorry. It's a lot of fun. It's a great rock out. Lyrics are fun. It's just a feel good song. I don't know what people hate about Sparkle. Sparkle segues into Split Open and Melt, which is great. It's one of their best songs, and it gets dark and weird, like you want to Split Open and Melt jam, and then goes into the peak. Split Open and Melt, one of my favorite Phish songs. I gave you a list of my favorite Phish songs if you want to watch that video. After Split Open and Melt, second set opens with A Sick Disease. The Down with Disease has a bunch of teases. I think it has like a Shafty tease. It says Fire Ohio Players. I didn't hear that. That's not in my notes. That's in the setlist notes. What I remember from the show is the Yamar jam. The Yamar is one of the best versions of Yamar. Rivaled only maybe by the December 13th, 97 Yamar. Or just the Clifford Ball Yamar for a straightforward Yamar is peak for me because it's just, I love that. The Clifford Ball too. I could review the Clifford Ball. I could review Phish all month. If this gets actual views and likes, I'll just do Phish the entire month. I'll just do Phish the entire channel. If that's what people actually want me to do. I like music. I love music. I want to talk about music that I love. I love Phish. Anyway, Down with Disease, into Yamar. The Yamar gets into this cool jam that I'm talking about. Gets quiet, and it's just funk. After the song has dissolved, it's just back into the cow funk. And then Trey himself playing the same phrase over and over again, like not modifying it, not just slowly letting it build. The patience of this run is why it is so amazing. Why I think the theme is funk, because they sound like they're trying to play like a funk band, like he's trying to play comp. The Trey's not always just trying to machine gun shred your face. He's trying to play like the James Brown funk chords. And it just helps the full band develop into these amazing soundscapes that are fun to dance to, fun to listen to, fun to exercise to, fun to take drugs and listen to. I wouldn't recommend ones that aren't, hallucinogens and marijuana. But maybe ecstasy. Maybe you listen to a little ecstasy when you do the island tour. Who am I to judge? I got my green tea. I got my secrets. I'm in no position. Let he who is without cast the sequel to the movie adaptation to the remake of your life. What is it? It's you've been selected as a sequel to the remake of the movie adaptation of your life. Shady Lane, everybody wants one. Shady Lane, everybody needs one. Anyway, the Yamar jam gets quiet, and after the funk fades out, it's just this kind of blissful thing that's in between Caspian and Yamar. And then it's Caspian. Prince Caspian. This song gets a lot of hate. I love Prince Caspian. I think it's gorgeous. And it's a good Prince Caspian. It doesn't get too far out there. There are better Caspians, but this is a solid B plus Caspian. Just takes you through the things that you want out of out of a Caspian, which doesn't ordinarily get that far out there unless like I remember the one at Super Bowl was pretty crazy. That I saw. And there's ones from like '99 that are more, type 2 get out there. After Caspian is Maze. I'm always happy to hear Maze. Just crazy shredding. No other band plays songs that sound like Maze. Period. Like, I don't. The way that it's this dark, crazy, convoluted thing just to get to this, like, cathartic. The Maze Peak? The Maze Peak is even better than the Bowie Peak. They're both great peaks. I like the Maze Peak. When I'm hearing the shucka shucka, I'm hoping it's the not the shucka shucka. The shucka shucka is Bowie. The rattly hi-hat is Maze, for those keeping score. Then they play Shafty, which they've been teasing this run. And they rarely play, but they just play Shafty, which is good. Funky. Goes into Possum. Possum turns into this crazy weird jam after Possum. Possum has the great blues licks that you want from a Possum, that you want from... Yeah, like just a good solid Possum. It's fucking basically that Leonard Skinner song, but with lyrics about the road is his end is that road, so they say. Ain't no truth in action, unless you believe it anyway. Anyway, Possum turns into this crazy weird type 2 jam. And then, after the crazy Possum jam, it goes into the Funk Cavern. This has got to be the best Cavern ever played. It's the most unique Cavern ever played, certainly. And it's of a very high quality. I love the way they rearranged this song to make it like a slap bass funk workout. It's a long version of it. It's probably the longest Cavern. I like just the song Cavern a lot. But this version of it is incredible. It takes it in a completely different direction. And to me is like a more successful version of what they do when they funkify. What's that new song that they funkify now? They usually play it early in the first set. Somebody remind me. What's the new song that they play at worst? Llama. They play a slow funk Llama, but Llama, you want to be fast and ripping and bluegrassy. You don't want a slow funk Llama. Sorry. You want a slow funk Cavern, but you only want it once. You just want regular Cavern usually. I'd be down with another slow funk Cavern. And then Encore, Bold as Love. I already told you. I reviewed Jimi Hendrix. I told you Bold as Love is one of the greatest songs ever written. I adore this song. This show's a perfect 10. 4-4, perfect 10. 4-5, perfect 10. 4-3, perfect 10. 4-2, perfect 10. These are all going on the lists. These are all-time great shows. If you love Phish, then you already know these are great shows. If you don't love Phish, I gave you video of 4 of their greatest shows in the description of this video, so you can listen to Phish shows and judge for yourself. I recommend connecting whatever you're using the internet on to a TV so that you can actually watch it. And then again, if you're such a snob about audio, you can play the soundboard while you watch it. I actually like the way it sounds on the audience recordings. Phish recordings are mixed poorly, and usually you don't hear the low end very well. And all the 90s stuff. Actually, the early recordings to my ear sound better than the 90s recordings, which sound muddy. And when you're at a live show, you hear Mike, you hear the low bass, you hear the low end of Trey's playing, you hear the low end of Page, you hear the low end of Fishman. That's what I listen to when I listen to music, is generally try to groove into the rhythm section. So the way the Phish mixes soundboards is incredibly frustrating to me. I wish they would just have cleaner mix with more even dynamics so that you could hear the low end better. I want to hear Mike more on these recordings. I want to hear Fishman more. It's too trebly and dry sounding, in my opinion. We're at 45 minutes, so I suppose I'm done. Hare Krishna, I love you. The lizards are a race of people practically extinct from doing things that smart people don't do. She said she was once a lizard too. If you can heal the symptoms and not affect the cause, it's kind of like trying to heal a gunshot wound with gauze. If you instead attempt to wrest the weapon from my hand, then I would not be able to equate my life with sand. If you can heal the symptoms but not affect the cause, then you can't heal the symptoms. If you can heal the symptoms but not affect the cause, then you can't heal the symptoms. Yeah. We can stage a runaway golf cart marathon. I like catapult downtown, see my favorite fiance in a lavender gown, because I'm hooked up to a machine that